What's up, guys? I'm Chad Barnes, and welcome to the channel. Here, it's all about real car talk, from simple fixes to smart driving tips and keeping your ride in top shape. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, and make sure you watch all the way through. There's a lot of good stuff coming. Let's get to
Goat
it.
induction. According to my old tradition, I'll start with a little wine. It's very, very hard to get information. All North Korea's information about its automobile industry can be summarized in a few formulas. The best of the country was personally created by Comrade Kim Jong-un. He was supported all the way by the party and the spirit of wise ancestors. That's why everything is the best in the country. Car industry, racehorses, yogurt, women, circus and, yes, anything. Well, let's say it's the best. All the more so, we really want specifics, but there are none. A good example. During the visit of no less brilliant Comrade Kim Jong-il to the Sungri Motor Plant, North Korean news agencies covering the event did not even mention where the plant was located. The only thing we know about it is that it is in the city of Tokshin. But the area of the city is a mystery. What if there is a war, right? The situation with the Pyongsang Auto Works is the same. It is definitely in the city of Tokshin, but where exactly it is located there is another DPRK military secret. Seems like paranoia, but no. While writing this paragraph, I remembered our native UAZ. No, of course, we know where this plant is built, but not everyone knows how it is built. And this is interesting. The territory of the plant is huge, and production is very dispersed. One can't help recalling some compact European assembly plants, where they manage to assemble many large vehicles on a small territory, with welding and painting. But at UAZ, no. Do you know why? And this is also in case of war. One bomb will fall on the MAN plant in Krakow, Poland, and the plant will be gone. If a bomb falls on UAZ, the workers will drag boxes with Korean gearboxes from a destroyed shop to the untouched one and continue to make bukkake and patriots in case of apocalypse. Strategy, wow. Of course, North Korea is ahead of the world in these matters, so in case of emergency, no one even knows in which neighborhood of the city to throw this bomb. Well done, actually. So, Pyongsang Auto Works is somewhere in Tokshin. Aka Pyongsang Auto Works. How long it was built and when it was built is, of course, a mystery. But about the date of the first production we can say unambiguously, it is 1968. The first cars of this plant were small SUVs and trucks. Of course, these were Soviet cars, assembled there by a great friendship and a small license. Well, what kind of Soviet SUV of those times do we know? Yes, of course, it's the GAZ-69A. In the DPRK, it got its own name, Pyongsang 68Ka. I think the Koreans are great trolls, because only they could call a clone of Gazika with a loud name Pyongsang, independence. Or self-confidence. There are different translations. Apparently, it's a hint at passability, but it still sounds funny. It is almost the same as calling our Pobeda GAZ M20 with romantic name Achimkoy, lotus flower. True, it was produced at a different factory. Achimkoy. Photo. Cars from the DPRK and other exotic countries. The story of Pyongsang 68Ka is a bit complicated. Initially, the production of the identical twin lawn was established at the Sungri plant, and this machine was called Sungri 4. Greater than 15. The love for GAZ-69 did not arise from nothing. Koreans got acquainted with it during the Korean War. They appreciated it and decided to assemble it at their place. The name 4.15 was not taken from a ceiling. Kim Il-sung was born on April 15th, and Koreans like to give the name of the model either by the start of production, or, by the way, I do not know what it is about the birthdays of leaders, but the numbers in the model index are always some dates, and not, for example, the body model and engine capacity, as in the unkilled Western bourgeois. The clone of GAZ-69A was produced at the Sungri plant until 1968, and in 1968 it was produced at the Pyongsang plant, renaming it into the independent Pyongsang 68Ka. They say that in 1961 they even made some restyling of our lawn, but the restyled car, most likely, did not go into production. There are drawings, image on a postage stamp, but there are no photos. So, Pyongsang 68Ka was our GAZ-69, and it remains so. True, the model name in Korean appeared on its fenders, but in the depths of the mechanical soul it remained our goat until the end of production in DPRK, until 1985. Pyongsang 68 Ka. Photo. Cars from the DPRK and other exotic countries, but the East, as Sukhov said, is a delicate matter, and therefore not always understandable to us. Therefore, the DPRK released 2 more fantasies on the theme of goat. The first one was called Pyongsang 68 NA, also 1968. I do not know what the designers were guided by, but this off-roader had a rear-wheel drive, and in the front they left a simple beam. There is an opinion that the impetus for such a castration of the lawn was its significant gasoline consumption. I think I agree. This is not a Haldex clutch, so the refusal from the front drive axle made sense. Especially if we take into account that there were, and are, few cars in the DPRK, and these Pyongsangs drove not only in difficult road conditions, but everywhere. That is, they did not always need 4-wheel drive. The second feature of Pyongsang 68 NA was the absence of the rear left door. I can't say anything clever here. Well, maybe you don't need it there. I don't know. The second modification of GAZ-69 is a very funny beast called Pyongsang 68 truck. Koreans have worked with it significantly. Even in the USSR they did not think to make a flatbed truck out of this machine. In 1961 we made something ideologically similar, but still different, UAZ 451D. I use the ugly word weld, because designed, developed, and built is not suitable for this vehicle. They took GAZ-69, cut off the front part of the body, put a flatbed body on the frame at the back, announced its load capacity of 1 ton, haha, optimists, and sent it on the road. Most likely, the mono-wheel drive Pyongsang 68 NA was used as a base, because in all photos the Pyongsang 68 truck has no front drive axle. Over time, technical progress from the USSR reached the DPRK. It had to get somewhere, didn't it? Koreans saw our UAZ 469 and got excited by its beauty. It was lazy to remake the chassis of the old car, so they put a new body on it, very similar to our Beaver, and called the car Pyongsang 85. It happened, as can be seen from the model numbers, in 1985. Like the previous Pyongsang 68, the new SUV could be both all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive. Until what year this car was produced, it is difficult to say exactly. Andrei Trubin, the creator of the public cars from DPRK and other exotic countries, I trust his opinion and whose information I am happy to use, says 1997. Pyongsang 85. Photo. Cars from the DPRK and other exotic countries bigger and more militant. How many GAZ-69 do not rebuild, but you cannot go far on it. The plant needed a wider range of models. So, what else do we have in the USSR? Oh, ZIL. And in 1970 the plant started serial production of Pyongsang 70. The name Pyongsang translates to Taipak Mountain. This car is a bit more mysterious than Pyongsang 68. I could not find any official information about the license for production of ZAL 130 in DPRK. To be honest, there is no reliable information about the construction of Pyongsang 70 on the basis of ZL 130 either. But, as Sherlock Holmes said, while playing the violin under morphine, so you start to study family portraits and believe in transmigration of souls. Cabins of ZAL and Pyongsang are so similar that there is no doubt in transmigration of souls. There is no exact data about the chassis, so about motors, boxes, and axles remains only to guess. There are a lot of common details with ZL. In addition, ZL 130 was supplied to DPRK officially and in large quantities. It was not hard to draw the car, and probably it was itchy hands. Personally, I still consider ZL 130 one of the best trucks of the Soviet Union. Pyongsang 70 was produced with different cabins. Those that are not very similar to the ZL 130 cabs are similar to the ZL 131 cabs. There was, however, another type of cabin, and with it the car was similar to the Romanian Stiegel Rosu Busigi. But do not think that the Koreans copied it and not ZAL. After all, it is ZL. Pyongsang 70. Photo. Cars from the DPRK and other exotic countries. At some point, ZAL developed a new cabover truck ZL 170. But its production was given to a new plant in Nabrizhny Chelny, and this vehicle became the first KAMAZ. By the way, recently the plant celebrated the 45th anniversary of the first KAMAZ. The car with the number no 0000001 was KAMAZ 5320, which now stands in the museum, with which I heartily congratulate the whole enterprise. So, if one ZIL in the USSR became GAZ, something similar should have happened in Korea at the same plant Pyongsang Auto Works. But the historical era failed. At the beginning of the noughties the USSR was no more, and it turned out to be difficult to simply carry cars from Russia and copy them at the plant. Therefore, the first Pyongsang 96 were licensed copies of GAZ 55111. Nobody hid the origin of these Pyongsang 96, and it is hardly possible. It just looks like GAZ. According to Andrei Trubin, only 48 of these licensed trucks were assembled. As you all know, KAMAZ has always been inextricably linked with the army. In the DPRK, it was God's command for it to take the path of militarism. And of course, it did. But this is the end of the story of open cooperation between Pyongsang Auto Works and GAZ. It is not known whether there is any interaction between these plants now, but just look at the military parades in Pyongyang and it becomes obvious. There are GAZs in Korea. And they look quite fresh, albeit somewhat odd. For example, there are vehicles strikingly similar to our KAMAZ with a long base and 6x6 wheel arrangement. Most likely, this is also Pyongsang 96. But what is the role of KAMAZ in the appearance of these vehicles? I cannot say. The origin of later military vehicles of this plant is not quite clear. The Pyongsang tractor, which shone at the parade in 2017, may be both a development of the Pyongsang 96 and an attempt to copy the Chinese Hao T7H. In any case, copies of Sinotruck Hao L2S are definitely produced in North Korea. From big to small, everything is made in Korea. Pyongsang Auto Works also made cars. Few, rare, but they did. And I would like to say a few words about at least one of them. Namely, about Kangsareng 88, Pyongyang 4.10, produced as a prototype in 1988. It did not make it to serial assembly, but the car is funny. It is a copy of the Mercedes-Benz 190. There are reports that one Mercedes was imported to the DPRK in 1987 from Thailand. And then there's a collection of myths and legends. Everything that was written in Russian about this car is actually translated from Western sources. And I cannot vouch for the reliability of this information, so please do not take it to heart. So, they say that the motor in this car was from Kangsareng 68, which means it's the good old GAZ-21B, which was on the Volga GAZ-21. Further, worse, Kangsareng 88 did not raise and lower the side windows, and there was no heater in the cabin. Probably, it was the worst Mercedes in the world, because it was still Mercedes at least externally. The exterior is distinguished only by a slightly different grille and the emblem of the Korean factory instead of the star, which is dear to our hearts. And that's not all. A little later, the plant produced another car, Pyongsang. And he, too, was a copy of the Mercedes-Benz 190. However, there is an opinion that it was a Mercedes-Benz 190, to which instead of the 3-beam star they stuck a 5-beam star. There is no data on this car. Maybe it's for the best. The psyche will be healthier. Makatov pause. I would like to pause here. Strangely enough, there are quite a lot of factories in North Korea, and we have told you about 2 of them so far. And we should definitely devote time to at least one of them, the Pyeonghwa plant. It's a very interesting joint venture with South Korea, which is now the largest automaker in the DPRK. So while I am translating the nonsense written by foreigners about this plant, you can read about Pyongsang Auto Works again and think that things are not so bad here, at least compared to the DPRK. In conclusion, the Pyongsang factory stands as a fascinating example of North Korea's industrial capabilities, producing vehicles like the GAZ-69 and the Mercedes-Benz 190, both powered by the Volga engine. This unique blend of technology and history highlights the complexities of North Korean manufacturing and its attempts to engage with global automotive trends. As we reflect on the significance of Pyongsang, we gain insight into the broader narrative of North Korea's industrial ambitions and the challenges it faces in a rapidly evolving world. Thank you for watching, and we hope you found this exploration of Pyongsang both informative and thought-provoking.